Welcome to Sideline Sports, where we give you an up-close and personal look at the teams, coaches, and athletes that make up the South Sound. Here's your host, Jeff Slakey.
This week on the show, Shelton boys host Yelm in basketball. It's a rivalry game for the Shelton girls basketball team at Capitol, a non-conference thriller for North Mason in boys basketball, and the game of the week, it's Shelton girls basketball hosting Gig Harbor.
This portion of Sideline Sports is brought to you in part by
Mason General Hospital, United Community, Empowered People, Exceptional Health. The High Climbers were looking to snap a 3-game losing streak, taking on Yelm.
Shelton boys basketball were back at home Wednesday night hosting Yelm in South Sound Conference play. The High Climbers were looking to snap a 3-game losing streak, taking on winless Yelm. A back-and-forth first quarter had Shelton leading 21-16. The High Climbers would pull away late in the second quarter, taking a 12-point advantage into halftime. Strong defense would lead to fast break opportunities for the High Climbers in the second half, on their way to a 76-45 victory. Travis Colbinson led all scorers in the contest for Shelton with 16 points. Sophomore Ty Thompson finished with 14 for the High Climbers. Senior guard Travis Colbinson was happy with how his team broke Yelm's press in the second half.
It was fun. The second half, my team, we were moving the ball around a lot. And then they went in a 1-2-2 press, and then we just kept moving the ball around, getting wide open shots.
The High Climbers go for back-to-back wins when they host rival Capitol Friday night. I'm Sean Wells for Fiber One Sports.
Sideline Sports is being brought to you in part by
The Gillis Auto Center. At Gillis, you're covered forever. It was a tale of two halves for High Climber basketball at Capitol.
The crowd was full at Capitol High School as the Cougars hosted Shelton in South Sound Conference play. Capitol, looking to avenge an early season loss at Shelton, came out on fire, leading 20-12 after the first quarter. Shelton would close the gap in the second quarter, trailing 27-23 at halftime. The High Climbers would then flip the switch in the second half behind strong defensive play and tough rebounding, outscoring Capitol by 20 points on their way to a 55-39 victory. Kayla Garnes led all scorers for Shelton with 14 points. Kylan Powell finished with 11 for the High Climbers. Shelton head coach Aaron Leth was happy with how his team responded in the second half after trailing at halftime.
You know, it was huge having Kayla back in the game. We kind of got in foul trouble there in the first quarter and had to pull her out. You know, when we can't rebound, we can't get our offense really firing on all cylinders with that fast break. And, you know, we figured it out the second half and kind of took it to a little bit.
Shelton are back at home Wednesday night hosting North Thurston. I'm Sean Wells for Fiber One Sports.
Sideline Sports is being brought to you in part by
It was a game of runs down the stretch for North Mason basketball hosting La Jolla.
A big crowd was on hand at North Mason High School as the Bulldogs hosted La Jolla in non-league play. The Bulldogs jumped out early, leading 14-11 after the first quarter. North Mason would add to their lead in the second quarter, up 34-22 at halftime. La Jolla would then turn things around in the second half to fight back into the contest. Both teams would go on runs down the stretch, but it was the Eagles coming out victorious, winning 61-59. The loss drops North Mason to 4-9 on the season, while La Jolla sit at 5-7. The Bulldogs are back in action Friday night hosting Bremerton. I'm Sean Wells for Fiber One Sports.
Scores in boys basketball: Capitol over Shelton 63-38. North Thurston beats Peninsula 74-66, and Timberline over Central Kitsap 72-59. In girls basketball, Timberline 62, Central Kitsap 33, Gig Harbor 78, Capitol 18, and Peninsula over North Thurston 54-42. In wrestling, Timberline over North Thurston 40-31. Yelm handles Central Kitsap 69-12, and Gig Harbor over Shelton 46-19. In the game of the week is Shelton girls basketball hosting top-ranked Gig Harbor in South Sound Conference play. The High Climbers come into the week on a 4-game winning streak, last knocking off Capitol 55-39. Gig Harbor sits in first place in the conference with a 7-1 league record. High Climbers will look to avenge an early season loss at Gig Harbor 55-47. The game tips off Friday night at 7 from the Shelton Mini-Dome. Upcoming games in boys basketball: Shelton at North Thurston, Timberline versus Yelm, and Capital versus Timberline. In girls basketball, Yelm at Timberline, Shelton versus North Thurston, and Timberline versus Capital. In wrestling, Shelton versus Central Kitsap, North Thurston at Yelm, and North Mason versus North Kitsap. This has been another presentation of Sideline Sports. I'm Jeff Slakey.